Okay, so today we're going over a little bit about base. Right, very core concept, but oftentimes not done properly in my personal opinion. So, can you push me? Easy to move, right?
Mm-hmm.
Push me again. A little harder, right? A little harder. Now we're getting harder.
Yes.
Do it again. You see how each time that you're putting in force, my ability to drop that weight down, right, is changing, right? Now the same thing, go ahead and push. You see how that made it lighter? So light, right? Push, little harder, right? That was a little harder for you as well. And we start doing it again. And you see I'm even leaning back a little, right? So you see how that one thing that I'm doing, dropping my weight, right, settling, right? What I'm doing is I'm no different than I would be if I was standing in this kind of horse stance, right, where we do a split stance, taking a small circular step out basically, right? I'm going to shift my weight just down. I'm not grabbing with the floor or anything with my feet, which I can. You know, you can do these things to improve them, right? Like, aka this. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I could do this, and then I can tuck my knees in, right? Like so. Pulling your knees in will add more tension into your legs, right? Feel how that tightens up your thighs. Just this, right? Taking this stance, right? Bend your knees just a little, and then pull your knees in, right? And then I want you to tuck your tailbone and try to touch your ball sack a little bit.
Think like you're trying to crack a walnut between your butt cheeks.
Yep, and then take your belly button and contract it. Right. So instead of being upright, right, or even just squatted, I'm here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, now, again, just same power push every time, right? So we're there.
Oh, sorry.
Right, we do the one thing, we go here, establish one stance, just the drop, not the tightening of the core or anything, just drop my weight. Go ahead. See how it's much harder to move me each time, right? Now, that is like what we're covering today, is the ability to basically drop weight. Does that make sense? So the first thing we're going to do is drop our weight. Track in. I just want you to get a feel for that first. Actually, fuck that. No. No, we're not. We're not going to do that first. We're going to wait till him. But what we're going to do is we're going to do affecting posture or affecting base. You paying attention? Are you able to pay attention while you're getting ready?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So when we're looking at posture and we're looking at base, how do we affect it, right? Well, realistically, the easiest way that we all know is to pull his head past the center line, right? When his head is away from his hip, right, or offline of his hip, his ability to stop, right, and have base limited in comparison, right? See how easy it is to move? Can you stand upright, gain good posture, right? Right? I break your posture.
Seems
Oh,
like
rip your knee on this, my bad. Right, you see how easy it is to move you, right? So the head is one easy way of doing it. The arm is another, right? His posture gets broken because of his hip, right? This rotation that causes the hip. What happens? This gets light, right? Super light once I go like this. Because he wants to take a step, right? We can time this kind of thing and pick them up, right? Because we're just making them light. Well, same thing applies other arm or any of that kind of nonsense. When we do cross arm, we get these type of rotations. They have no base in this moment that could stop us from going. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we have head, we have arm, right? And then we have the hip. That's gonna be the next thing that we're gonna talk about. He'll have no base if he has no feet. Right? You have no base, right? That's just the simple fact that, like, if you can make hips light, right? One of the things that we do is we pick up his weight up, right? He has no base. No base. That's it, right? And then the next one, right? We work our way down the chain, his feet. His base is limited. He only has one, right? So all of these things, right? Head alignment, CG, right? If I can take his head, put it this side of him, right? He has less center of gravity, right? Put it in front, put it behind, put it over here. Cool. Well, I can do the same effect through the shoulders. Does that make sense? Okay. And then we see the same effect through the hips, right? Whether that is jostling, picking up, etc. Does that make sense for y'all? Hip bumps, right? And then we have leg trips, right? We remove base, right? Even if he's able to swap back, how strong is his base? Again, not, because they're staged, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, I want you to play with those first, and then we'll get into base. There we go. I was wondering what it would be.
It's kind of hockey-esque.
We'll use you. Okay, so you didn't see what we were doing earlier. All right, all I'm going to basically do is I'm going to establish base, right? You learned a little bit of how to disrupt base, right? So basically, I'm just going to establish base. You ready? Move you. Why is it not moving well?
No, you're staying very square and stable. I can't get you bent down or up or back or on.
Now we're getting there. All right, so what was I doing? Right, move me around again.
You're lowering your weight.
My weight is lower, right? I'm kind of almost squatting. Now, even when you get my weight up, proud chested, right? I don't want to end up like this. I don't want to end up like this, right? But what am I doing to your posture? So how powerful are you like this?
Not.
Right? So when I'm looking to control posture, how strong is your base like that? That's literally all we're looking at today, is to have a strong base, right? So you take whatever grips you want, right? If I do anything of these fashion, right? Do I have a strong base? Move me. Oh, you're fine. What's up?
You're literally just using a closed fist against his rib to block that grip.
Like this?
Yeah.
Doing this?
Yeah.
So like this is where Japanese martial arts versus Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has a greater understanding, right? In Japanese martial arts, they spend a lot of time focusing on a stance, right? I don't really know, let's be fair. Don't do Japanese karate or fucking Jiu-Jitsu, but their stance, right? Pretty common, just like any kind of karate stance or any kind of analysis. It's very similar, right? Now why though? Why do they have a strong emphasis on this, right? Because base is very important in a fight, right? So if we are in an actual grappling and I simply, I'm here, whose base was instantly broken, right? And once the base is broken,
And face if you so choose.
right? Are we seeing how this applies? So when we're engaging right here, and they try to break our base, now we apply the same principles that we just learned about breaking base and posture, shoulder, head, feet, and we control them, right? Now, for us, we want to control our weight to be rooted to the ground as much as possible. When we lift our feet, they don't come up high, right? Make little circles. And when they come up high, right, they should be either picking up someone else's leg, wrapping around. Does that make sense? So like anytime that we are removing one of our pillars of base, this leg should be doing something, even something like so. I look like I'm in a wide base, right? Who's worse, right? That's all I'm looking for, just to win in the base exchange, right? We talk about gripping exchange, right? I want to make it to where this person can't stand, right? People don't stand without their feet. We're doing this standing because you can see a better effect of base and more dramatic effect right here, right? So you see when I pull his hand, look how much he travels, right? I sweep his leg out. Look how big that motion is with his body, right? Does that make sense? All right, go down for me, guard. Move me. Right? We're gonna do the same thing, right? What are you actually doing? It's about posture, breaking the posture, right? Lifting my hips, making them light, right? When he pulls me with a knee pull, what does it do? It makes my hips light, right? If I have my hands here, right? He moves one of them across my center line. What happens to my posture, right? What happens to my ability to base, right? It all goes over here, right? Because why? Now my spine, right, is not in the center line. It's over here. So as soon as it comes over here, my ability to base is pretty much strictly like this. Does that make sense? Right? He controls my head and brings it down, right? Where's my base? My hips are getting lighter, right? Because he's pulling me down and they will pull me and all that kind of stuff, right? So all the same principles apply here. They're just far less visible. Does that make sense? Right? But the same things that we're going to do standing are the same things we're going to do here. Period. Right? That's all I want you to look at today. Make sense? Okay. Back to standing. Now I want you to take a single leg. To you. Mm-hmm. So he's here, right? Pick up my leg. That was super easy, wasn't it? Right. Now I go back down. Pick up my leg. Gets harder, doesn't it? All right, now let's do it again. Ready? Pick up my leg. Do it again. Why is it getting harder?
Put a lot of force to keep it down.
Weight. Shifting my weight. All right? And then when my weight starts to lose, what else do I shift? My other weight on top of him. Right? He wants a certain goal when we do these type of things. Right? I'm trying to shift my weight so that goal is not available. Right? If I tried to foot sweep him on a heavy foot, that'll never work. That does. Right? Because I made it light. Right? His goal is to make sure this foot sweep doesn't work. Right? It'll work. Right? But we're just doing the opposite of what a person wants. Right? So like if he wants to lift me, what did I do?
Sink.
I changed levels. This is the next thing about base. Right? So we just talked about shifting weight. We talked about being rooted. Now we're talking about shifting levels, right? Single leg again. Pick me up. Harder, isn't it? Right? And that's with no pressure. You see it's light, but I've changed the level, right? And the higher he gets, the higher I have to get, right? The lower he gets, the lower I have to get, right? We should be on the same plane most of the time. Not always, but most of the time, right? So if I'm here wrapping around him and he drops his weight, right? I either have to change what I'm grabbing, right? Or what level I'm attacking, right? And then he has to focus on that level. Does that make sense? So I have to do the same, right? So if he attaches to my waist, I'm going to drop away, right? And attack the base, right? But now his leg's not very available, is it? No, but his head is. Alright, so we're going to conjoin, merge, let's say merge all these things together, because they don't work in isolation. They look like they should work in isolation, but you do them all when you're doing these types of takedowns and stuff like that, or this type of control. And we do the same thing when we're on the ground. Are we tracking? Cool. Let's play it. Alright, so as we talked, right, if I don't close my guard or any of that kind of stuff, I can still do the knee pull. Alright, so I'm just going to leave my guard open. Alright, so what I'm going to do is those same things to break his posture. Arm across the body, right, head down, right, light in his hips, right, or destabilization of his feet, right. If I'm able to get anywhere back here, he's on his feet, so I wouldn't necessarily do this because you can't do this right here because it's illegal, and this grip does not work well for pulling, in my opinion, right. But if he has active toes, easy Scooby, right? Destabilization. Or destabilization. Makes sense? We don't have to do it with our hands, right? Okay. And again, right? So if we're here, you can see how we can lift them. We're just resting up here. We see how these can affect the elbows as well, right? We can do just the knee pull, right? All those same things, right? But a sweep is just a throw on the ground, right? So let's say I wanted to throw him, right? And I want to do the same kind of thing. Head posture, arm across basically, hitting space, right? It's a scissor sweep, right? Stand up for me. Same thing. Makes sense? Okay. Now, I want you to see that these skills are transferable. Vertical or horizontal. I don't really give a shit. Right? They work either way. Right? Butterfly. Right? I'm going to work on making his hips light. Right? These are how we get our destabilization. He has no base, right? We get the head low, right? We get the hips high. These are just sweeps, right? They're throws when you're standing. That's a nice version. Mean versions, you actually plant your foot on the inside, like so.
Airtime.
Yeah, and we're not going to do that because I don't want to hold his neck. Because it gets real mean when you hold someone's neck like that. Right? Does that make sense? Okay.
That's a lot of momentum here.
Yeah, but all this shit is the same thing, right? Butterfly hook. You get your Sotogari, whatever, Uchimata. Sorry. Right?
He's Aki watching.
What is it? You're splitting and you're lifting, right? The butterfly hook, right, is this, right? They do the same thing. They look different, but they do the same thing, right? That is this. That's the underhook, right? This is the overhook. Underhook. Overhook. They're the same thing. Half guard. Stand like this, right? Same rules apply. If I can get this arm across, right? If I can get the hips to be light, right? If I can get the head down, they're all the same. All the same ways to disable his base, right? He's posted on me, right? Right? Any of that kind of, take your underhook, right? What everyone wants to do, right? He's being disabled, right? It's all the same shit. Remove their base the same way. Now, we've been doing all this from standing. I want you to do the same exact shit, but in the supine position. Not necessarily flat on your back, but down. Does it make sense? Go play.